If you thought the Horner-Wolff feud was done because Mercedes is nowhere near the performance level of Red Bull, you're wrong. And at this moment, the feud is taking an even more toxic shape than it ever did in the Hamilton versus Verstappen era. All because Wolff keeps trying to persuade Verstappen to join Mercedes. But Toto Wolff's public pursuit of Max Verstappen following the Chinese Grand Prix resulted in a strong word from Wolff's Red Bull rival Christian Horner. Could we see the two bumping heads for the rest of the season? After diagnosing another miserable weekend in China with a car that Wolff admits is difficult to drive and set up, talk in the Austrian's post-race media session at the Shanghai circuit quickly turned to how Wolff would persuade Verstappen to join a team that maximizes its Grand Prix while still finishing sixth. Wolff made it clear that he recognizes that Mercedes' chances of ultimately securing the driver it sorely missed out on to Red Bull a decade ago are not dependent on its present success. There are so many factors that play a role for a driver joining a team, Wolff said, when asked what Mercedes has to do to persuade Verstappen. Clearly, when you look at it from the most rational point of view, you can say, well, that's the quickest car in the hands of the quickest driver. But I don't think that this is the only reason you stay where you are. For let's say simple minds, that might be the only reason why you stay in the car and that's it. But maybe there's more depth to some people that consider other factors too, and I think Max has more depth. Are we able to convince him? I don't think it's a matter of convincing. Max knows motor racing better than anyone. He will take decisions that he feels are good for him. And I think a few factors play a role, but he's the one that is going to trigger some more domino stones to fall after, but everybody is waiting for what he's going to do. Horner's media briefing for another race dominated by Verstappen began with him dismissing any speculation Verstappen will depart. If you speak to Max, and it's not about pieces of paper, we know he has a contract until the end of 2028. It's about how he feels in the team and the relationship he has in the team and the way he's performing, Horner said. I don't think Toto's problem is with his drivers. He's got other elements that he needs to be focusing on rather than focusing on drivers that are unavailable. Verstappen was asked at the start of the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, like he is at every race, to affirm that he is still committed to finishing his contract with Red Bull. I signed after 2021, a long deal with the team. The only thing I've said from the beginning is that we want to have a quiet, peaceful environment, he told reporters. I do think lately we've been talking about the car, very happy about that already, that we're talking about the performance of the car, also how it should be. As long as I'm happy with the team, never been a reason to leave. But could it happen due to the chaos within Red Bull? If things are getting out of control again, will this be the last season of Verstappen in a Red Bull? When asked if Verstappen needed to be firmer still in shutting down talk of an exit, Horner replied, I don't know how many more times he needs to say it. He's said it numerous times. I'm not going to get drawn into, I think sometimes it's just designed to create noise. We moved ahead today of the races Mercedes has won in the modern era, 117 in total for Red Bull, 116 for Mercedes, excluding its 9 1950s wins. Of the teams in form, why on earth would you want to leave this team? Mercedes are the third team behind their customers, McLaren and Aston Martin, at the moment, so I think his Wolff's time would be better spent perhaps focusing on the team, rather than the driver market. When asked if Verstappen's situation was confusing, Horner responded, I can assure you there is no ambiguity about where Max Verstappen will be next year. This is not the first time Wolff has openly pursued Verstappen this season. In Melbourne, he said Verstappen was his top selection to replace Lewis Hamilton, having previously stated that he'd love to have the Dutchman in the squad. But in Shanghai, he made it clear that the focus will be on Mercedes establishing itself to be a formidable force during F1's next rules upheaval in 2026. Wolff even admitted, if I was Max, I would stay at Red Bull in 2025 because it's the quickest car, but there are other factors, namely the prospects for 2026. I don't think anyone can sell anything to Max, Jos and Raymond. Their combined understanding of motorsport, whatever you say, isn't going to change anything, Wolff went on to say. I believe it's a question of how they feel where the future is best for them, considering a lot of factors. I think we're in a very good position for 2026. We are ambitious with the targets we've set ourselves for the power unit, for the battery, for the fuel, and I think if we're able to produce a decent chassis, we're a good value proposition, but who knows? Horner was asked for Red Bull's 2026 progress, but interjected jokingly, have you heard George Russell is out of contract at the end of 2025? Maybe he might not be so keen into 2026. The market moves around. Horner then addressed the issue at hand. For 2026, we don't even have the chassis rules yet. If I was going to back any team to get the chassis right, I think we've got a reasonable track record. We've taken on a new project with the engine. We've got some exceptional people, an incredible facility. For sure it's very bold, it's brave, and it's pretty ballsy. Red Bull wouldn't have won 117 races and done what we've done without making bold decisions. We believe it will pay off. Wolff declined to use Mercedes stealing a march on the field the last time F1 overhauled both the car and engine in 2014 as a huge selling point. We got that right, but there's no guarantee we're going to get it right in 2026. He described 2014 as a journey into the unknown, but 2026 is significantly more similar to present laws than 2014 was to previous ones. I'm really not good at selling, to be honest. It is down to facts. Overselling something in order to attract someone or something isn't the right way, Wolff said. We're having a development trajectory. We've set ourselves ambitious targets that we believe are necessary in order to perform on a strong level. These are facts on current understanding, but obviously if there is someone from our current competitors that develops a promising project, who knows? I'm not good at convincing, I just say what I think it is. Jokes aside, the feud between Horner and Wolff is finally full on again. Although it's not for race wins this time, it is adding some more depth to the season. But during this feud, one thing stands out. Where does Kimi Antonelli fall into this? Wasn't he Wolff's new Verstappen? Well, with Verstappen looking impossible to get, Mercedes is still on track to place young wonder Kimi Antonelli in the car next year, should his Formula 2 season and significant private testing schedule go smoothly. Wolff's very public courtship of Verstappen changes nothing. It's merely a reflection of what any team would do to get their hands on F1's most dominant driver. Antonelli is basically plan A, and Mercedes is quite serious about making him the focal point of its long-term future, but it would abandon any pre-existing plans in a flash to accommodate Verstappen if he wanted to join. Verstappen is one of the few drivers that can go to Mercedes and be certain he isn't filling in for Antonelli. A driver like Carlos Sainz does not enjoy the same privilege. He would be in danger of being replaced by Antonelli within 1 or 2 years if he were to be beaten by Russell. Antonelli therefore is still the most probable choice to replace Hamilton, but that will not deter Wolff from dreaming of ultimately signing Verstappen, no matter how many times Verstappen and, notably, Horner have turned it down. And luckily for Horner, Verstappen's seat seems to be the only one he needs to be worried about right now, as Perez had a strong start to the season, finishing second in 3 of 5 races and adding a 3rd and 5th place to it as well. Horner believes Perez's adjustment to his thinking for this season, which includes no longer being interested on what Verstappen is doing, has made him more calm behind the wheel. He also noted that Perez is coping well with the strain of battling for his future, with the team following his winter reset. He is an important part of the team, and it is about working collectively, and I think he has got a great engineering support around him and the team are doing a good job, he said. He feels comfortable in the team. He knows he is out of contract at the end of this season, and he is driving for his future. He responds to pressure in the best possible way, and I think we see that with certain drivers with how they respond to pressure while others sometimes wilt. He has changed a few things in his approach, and I think he is driving really well. It looks like Red Bull will be able to retain the same squad for 2025 at least. After that, everything could change, especially with the introduction of the new rule regulations. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.